Hello everyone, welcome back to Higurashi. We finished the game, but we still have some content to do. It's a good day, kind of. Pretty tired, but for a change, I feel physically tired, not mentally tired from work, but that's alright. Anything to hit on? Um, I mean, we'll hit all about the story in the review, which will probably be up sometime next week, maybe. Um, I was like watching through some of the stuff I already recorded. I noticed I still have that secret food take that I didn't say when I meant to say it on Wednesday's upload. So I'm just gonna say it now. It hasn't been eating at me, but it feels weird hearing that I was gonna say it, but I just never said it. All I was trying to say is I think corn tortillas taste bad and wheat tortillas are the superior ones. I know it's a highly debated topic that lasts for centuries, but I tried corn tortillas for the first time and they just leave a bad taste in your mouth. I know wheat ones don't really taste like anything, but I think that's just better, right? It adds to the experience of whatever you're using them for, the inner ingredients. But yeah, anything else besides fluff? Oh yeah, let me just spend like 2 minutes to shill the cat lady. You probably haven't watched my playthrough, which is fine. It's one of the bonus ones at night, but I have to say it is a fantastic game. I absolutely love it. It's definitely my favorite horror game I've played on this channel, and you don't even need to watch the playthrough. I honestly would suggest picking it up for yourself if you find it interesting, because my playthroughs are always a little stuffed, so it's probably better just to experience it yourself first. And if you're lazy, you can always check the playthrough. But it is such a good game. Um, it's one of those rare occurrences where a game just hits you like in all the right places and all the technical and style the game has. And it is very technical and stylish. I love a lot of the aspects of that, the elements of the game. It is just fantastic. Yeah, but I mean, I have a small sample size for horror games, but I think it's definitely at the top, beating like Franbo and Eve, which are my two favorites. And it's comparing it to Doki Doki is a little harder since I know some people consider Doki Doki a horror game first, but I consider it a visual novel first, so it's not really like the best comparison, but I'll just keep it 100. I actually enjoyed the Cat Lady. I think the Cat Lady is better than Doki Doki. I said it. I love Doki Doki. It's one of my favorite visual novels, which is also like a small sample size, I guess, since I haven't read too much. But yeah, Cat Lady, it's great. Check it out. Put it on your wish list if it's too expensive. I actually don't know how much it costs. I was gonna say it's probably a Steam horror sale, but they're doing a board game sale right now, so I don't know. Unless they do like a horror sale last week. What happened to the Halloween sale? I thought that was a normal thing, even though I haven't really bought Steam games in a while. I'm not my old high school self that would just pile Steam games on whenever there's a sale, but I guess thank goodness for that, because that led me to play the Cat Lady, which is great. Great, great, great. I honestly can't stress how much I love that game. It might just, again, be more of a personal preference, but absolutely fantastic. But yeah, that's it. What's on the chopping block, Aiden? Well, we have one tip that I was kind of too tired to read, so we'll do that first. Two bad endings. I don't know if we'll hit both of them in this one, because in Maitashi, the one bad ending we had took like a whole video length, so we'll see. And then we have the writer's message, author's message. So first tip, then we'll see about the first bad ending, and then we'll play it by there. If it's at like 50 minutes, then we can probably just fit the author's message and then just do the other bad ending in a separate video. But we'll see it first. Collection of tips. I think we only had one, right? The demon stripped. The car began to rattle as the road turned from asphalt to gravel. The cry of the cicada seeped through the tightly shut windows. Most people would open their car windows and let the natural air in along with the sound of the cicadas. But people are also spoiled. He'd rather keep himself cool with air conditioning, turn to the mats, and listen to the sound of nature. Man, I wish you can do both. I love sounds of nature, but I also love my air conditioning. Usually it was the rainy season at this time of year. But this June, the summer had already come without any rain. Just like how the weather was on that day 20 years ago. Ooh. Akasaka! Mr. Battler in an alternative universe. Wow, okay, so it's a flash forward to Himatsubushi, probably after it, where they're reinvestigating Hidden Misawa. Or it doesn't have to be. It can be like, I assume it's for writing their book, but it can also be before. But like, Akasaka. Honestly, I didn't know if I'd see you again. Minimum like chapter or the 8th arc, but nice to see you, buddy. Military officer.
ひょっとしたら隣の村みたいに世界文化遺産に指定されることもあったかもしれないのに。そのおかげで観光客がいない。実に快適じゃないか。どうして旅行者ってのは田舎じゃ交通法規を忘れられるんだ。道路いっぱいに横になりやがって。
So they're sounding like something happened to the village. Which we do know. Okay, so Akasaka is a senpai to a military officer. I don't know what that means, because I don't know the right definition, but I assume that's not... It's higher than police, right? Unless it's another slang for police. But that's Hakasaka always was a special unit, not actually police, so that kind of made sense. Bido? The other man noticed and waved his hand before anyone in the car could honk the horn. Nope, that's definitely not the Bido. The man was a young fellow on a motorcycle with a big backpack on his shoulders. He looked like he was ready to go camping. Akasaka and his partners stepped out of the car and shook hands with the young man. Yo, group member. Yo, what if Akasaka was in the white van and he was one of the van people? Woo! No. Oh. I'm just wondering what the hell's going on. Also, I think the way the lines are being read feels weird. It's probably because it's a hint, but it doesn't flow well. It's hard to describe, right? It doesn't feel like one press does all this. Usually it doesn't feel like that. But again, it's a hint, so it doesn't matter. It's just putting me off a bit. No. Or he wants to hide some... What is... See, I only clicked once. And it's... I think in the normal visual novel, that'd be 3 clicks. Usually. Yeah, that doesn't feel great. Again, it's probably gonna be for like a couple minutes. But yeah, how convenient, Oishi. Oh, now we're fine? Maybe this is like a group of people who are dedicated to researching what happened in Hinamizawa. That could be something.
さて、赤坂先輩、どこから回りますか？
His name was Mamoru Akasaka. He was a veteran detective from the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department. Despite the fact that he was close to his retirement, he hadn't lost his clear instinct and sharp eyes at all. Those eyes showed the confidence he'd built through many risky experiences, and he had a well-built muscular body and fearless aura. He must have fought against many violent criminals. He was green when we played him before. This is hardened. This is like Oishi level Akasaka. Back when Oishi was in his prime. Well, I don't know if it's his prime, but it's when he was the big O. His connection to Hinamizawa went back almost 30 years, all the way to 1978. He was in the Public Safety Division in the Metropolitan Police Department. He came to Hinamizawa to investigate the kidnapping case of the grandson of Inudai, the then Minister of Construction. There he met Oishi and Rika Furude. Rika Furude predicted her own death. Akasaka regretted for the rest of his life that he couldn't save that little girl from her fate. He saw the news of the great Hinamizawa disaster on TV and met up again with Oishi. They pledged to uncover the mystery of both the cruel fate that fell upon the little girl and the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. Unfortunately, Hinamizawa was sealed off for a long time. Ooh, it's sealed. As a result, all Akasaka and Oishi could do for the past 20 years was publish the little information they gathered, and ask for their readers to send their tips and clues. But recently the seal on Hinamizawa had finally been lifted. However, they couldn't come to Hinamizawa until today due to Akasaka's busy work schedule and Oishi's poor health. In fact, Oishi was supposed to come with Akasaka, but he was called in for an emergency health checkup. The other two who came along were Akasaka's juniors from university. One worked at the ground SDF and the other was his subordinate. They were assigned the mission of sealing off Hinamizawa, so they were quite knowledgeable about the village. Akasaka took out a scrapbook from his bag. The corners of the scrapbooks were all dented, making it look very old. Akasaka flipped through the pages, thought for a second, and let them know his first destination.
では、鬼ヶ淵沼をお願いします。
Right to the alien breeding ground.
了解いたしました。それではご案内いたします。
I feel like depending on this length, I might just do this in the author's message, because I'm a little sleepy. I want to be in good form for the bad endings. So the last one was pretty great, so tip-top shape on a weekend or something. The young man got on his bike and waited for the others to get back to their car. They honked at each other to signal that they were ready, and the young man led the car to the swamp. Heading through the forest, they came to an open area where the ground was covered by concrete. There wasn't even a single drop of water in sight. They're making it sound like it was a gas attack if they covered the swamp in concrete or whatever. Which, does that know? Because it was actually a question if Himatsubushi, not Hina. Okay, that was confusing me. If it was the same great disaster as Tsumihoroboshi, but this low-key confirms it, which is pretty good. And if that confirms it, then we can guess that happens. That great disaster is the disaster in every arc, which would be fantastic. Because I didn't really have any theories based on that. That was what Onikafuchi Swamp looked like now.
沼どころか水たまりもないな。
I don't even think Dr. Saka went to the swamp in Himatsubushi.
大災害後の だいぶ初期に埋め立てられたと聞いています。自分がここへ着任した時はすでに埋め立てられていました。ちょっと降りてみよ
う。Artisata got out of the car and walked to the center of the concrete-filled swamp. It wasn't a parking lot or a heliport. It was just a huge empty concrete space right in the middle of the forest.
なるほど。これがネットでよく言う
Oh no.
着陸場というやつか。
Also, the text fits itself, which is great. It's like after I made my little rant, it stopped doing it. But yeah, it looks like the alien theory is still alive, baby. Knew Rena hit gold with that.
そんなことを言われてるんですか？ここの写真がよくミステリー系のサイトに紹介されてるよ。
I wish I was more into. Well,
政府と宇宙人が交流してたって言うんだ。
Never mind.
確かにこんな森の中にポカンとこんなコンクリートの空き地があれば不審に思う。
Are you messing with me, game? As soon as I said it would stop that, it happened again. But yeah, I wish I was more into the cult stuff. It's like kind of want to research it, but then it's like not really. Like I wouldn't mind, but I'd rather do other stuff. Maybe one day I'll have a nice read through on some stuff like that. Because I watch a lot of movies and stuff about it, but I'm just like, it's like might as well just watch a movie instead of reading the actual stuff. But yeah. I was also trying to hear if any of these voice actors sounded similar, if we can connect them to the Van Boys or whatever, but I honestly can't tell. I don't think they sounded like the head gardener that actually taught to Shia anyways. He was kind of more distinct. Beautiful. Okay. Volcanic gas erupted from the swamp in June 1983. The deadly mixture of hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide engulfed and destroyed Hinamizawa in a single night. I'm gonna take this as like a 99% clear that any reference to this disaster is referencing the poisonous gas, now that it has been confirmed that's the disaster from Higurashi along with Higurashi. So we can assume in any other art that's probably the same disaster. Well, any same great disaster, which is good. There was a question, it was like, just because they're referencing the disaster in Higurashi doesn't mean it's the same one, but which, you know, got to me. I'm like, yeah, that's true. It could be a nice little misdirection, but this is good to get confirmation. The village was sealed off and the SDF covered the swamp with concrete. Unless this was a... No, it doesn't mean... Unless this was like a bait for like the super inner circle. Deal with the real problem. The freaking aliens! Rena was right all along. It's not like Keiichi convinced her they weren't real. He like... I don't know, he hyped her up so much she didn't care about it anymore. It's a difference.
ネットで騒いでる連中にも連中なりの根拠があるらしい。地質学的に言ってガスの発生源を塞ぐために沼をコンクリートで固めるなんてのは何の意味もないかららしいんだ。
I honestly don't know about this. I did take first year geology in university just as my grandfather was a geologist. But yeah, I couldn't get into it. I'm not too much of a science guy. In my head, it sounded good. I feel like they cover dangerous stuff with concrete in a lot of situations, but I guess it doesn't work for this one.
なるほど。確かに活火山の火口をコンクリートで埋めたという話
That
は
is
聞かないで
true.
すね。
That is true.
でもまあ、税金での無駄な工事は我が国の伝統ですから。
Okay. Lately, people who love things like supernatural phenomena and UFOs write on the internet about the great Hinamizawa disaster. It's well known by now that the cause of the disaster was an eruption of deadly volcanic gas from a magma chamber. In 1986, a similar natural disaster occurred at Lake Nyos in Cameroon, Africa. So people easily believe that such a rare natural disaster could occur anywhere on Earth, and that was what happened in Hinamizawa as well. However, a rumor about another possible explanation had begun to fly around the internet recently. They say that the disaster was a cover-up by the government, and that was actually a biochemical terrorist attack by aliens. Now, I don't hate the idea of a government cover-up, kind of. That's more believable, but I don't know about the second part. Pete Takano pilled Rena would approve, though. Why had such a rumor began to spread now? They claim to back up their theory with a secret document known as File Number 34. So they actually... The Takano files have been published, huh? I did say that... Well, I guess I was wrong, but I did say that the Takano files would disappear after the start, but they didn't actually bring that up in the credits or anything, so I was wrong, but yeah. Someone online named it File Number 34 for descriptive purposes, but the name spread and stuck since then because it sounded like a government conspiracy. People loved it. It's unknown how or from where they obtained those documents, but they posted scans and pictures which were all ridiculous. Plus, more fake evidence was produced over time, so now even the existence of such documents are in doubt. File number 34 deserves a bit more explanation. However, since it started on the internet, truths and lies were all mixed together and it became more like an urban legend. So this is what it is believed to mostly be true. File number 34 was a notebook written by a nurse named Mio Takano who worked at a local clinic in Hinamizawa. File number 34 was most likely named after her. This woman was a researcher who studied the demon myth of Hinamizawa and tried to solve what it meant. The contents of this notebook state that she prophesied the Great Hinamizawa disaster of 1983. According to her research, a UFO crash landed in Hinamizawa a long time ago and sunk into the Onigafuchi swamp. The UFO carried parasitic bacteria from space and they began to infect the locals. The infected villagers began to behave extremely violent, so much so that they were fit for the word demon. Mio Takano insisted that this was the explanation for the myth about demons pouring out of the swamp. An alien who survived the crash realized that the Earthlings had gone crazy because of the bacteria he brought in, and he decided to show himself to the villagers to help them out. This is how Oyashiro-sama was born. The alien was able to cure the villagers with highly advanced technology, but couldn't eradicate the bacteria completely. Since the villagers looked up to the alien as some sort of deity, the alien utilized its status to hand down specific rules to the villagers in order to stabilize the disease. The bacteria took a liking to Hinamizawa's habitat, so when the carrier of the disease left Hinamizawa, their symptoms would reemerge. Therefore, the alien made it a rule not to leave the village. This leads to the legend of the transcendence of Onigafuchi. The weird parasites and miracles that the villagers performed were realized by the means of the advanced technology that they received from the alien. Great theory, right?
そういうののマニアな人たちはつくづくそういうのが好きですよね。ノストラダムスの大予言だって99年にはあんなに騒いだのに7月が過ぎたら何事もなかったかのようにみんな過ごしてる。民放もあれだけ煽っておいて無責任たらありゃしない。でも高野美代は南沢大災害を予見したらしい。それは嘘じゃない。確かにこのスクラップ帳に書いてある。
Did she live the exact date? That would be impressive.
そんなまさか。赤坂先輩、それ本当に？
As time passed, the bacteria stabilized in human bodies and became harmless. The alien and the bacteria began to fade away from people's minds. However, the alien has lived on for hundreds of years with the protection of the three families. It still lives on as the spirit of a deity in the secret temple of the Furure Shrine. The alien manipulated the bacteria living inside the villages and maintained control over them for hundreds of years. The alien wanted to regain its power and started researching how to bring back the lost powers of the bacteria, etc., etc. Things get much stranger from there. People say that the disaster was actually part of the alien's plan to conquer the entire Earth by spreading the reawakened bacteria. The Japanese government has a secret division that fights against alien invasions, and they trained at Area 51 in the US, etc., etc., and they moved in to stop the invasion by sealing off the entire village, and they killed all the residents by using toxic gas. That'd be something.
映画でそんなのありましたね。なんて言ったっけな。
But yeah, that's an interesting one. It was an outside force that did the gas instead of the thing. But that is very conspiratory. Saying the whole government was in on it. It doesn't have to be the whole government. I would assume it's a smaller group, but it's such a large scale. I don't know, just thoughts. I just like the fact that we got confirmation that that's what happened, and that apparently Mio Takano predicted it on the date.
この辺まで来ると、俺もそろそろめちゃくちゃだなとは思う。ただ、このめちゃくちゃを書いた高野美代は、昭和58年の6月中旬、正体不明の開始を遂げる。そして、その死の直前に、自らの死を悟ったかのように、村の一人の少女にこのスクラップ帳を預けて、意志を託したというんだ。
I was assuming this is in the Himasubushi verse, but this is sounding like it's actually a sequel to Tsumihoroboshi, which is fine. It made sense. Akasaka exists before and after, which means that this happened in Tsumihoroboshi even after Keiichi ruined the party, which is interesting. That girl is known as Girl A. Well, Oishi should be able to answer a lot of this, but too bad he's at an emergency medical checkup where he would help us with a lot of these details. Some guy who investigated the case was able to track it down to a girl named Reina Ryuju, so now it's known as the Reina Ryuju theory on the internet. I wonder if this confirms that Mio gave... No, it doesn't make sense. It has to be only Tsumihoroboshi related. Never mind. Reina Ryuju inherited Mio Takano's will by means of the scrapbooks. She tried to fight against the planned invasion by holding a school hostage and demanding the local police to uncover the aliens' plot. Of course, no one believed her, and they assumed she was in a state of paranoia. Back then, people assumed that Reina Ryuju took Mio Takano's delusions seriously and was motivated to commit a poorly executed crime. When she held the school hostage, Reina Ryuju told the local police that the alien was controlling the three families and it was plotting bioterrorism on a massive scale. And the very next day, the Great Hinamizawa disaster occurred. Wow. Right after that epic fight, the next day, huh? Truly unlucky.
まさか、そりゃ偶然じゃないんですか。わからない。偶然ではないと思う連中に言わせると、その後の自衛隊による封鎖はおかしなことだらけらしい。
That is true from Tsumihoroboshi, lots of missteps.
例えば、この沼の埋め立てが一例だ。
And this apparently.
そして埋め立てる前に、明らかに通常の地質調査とは異なる秘密の調査を行っていたとされていて、否定派はそれを単にガスの発生地なので危険に備えて立ち入りを制限していただけだと主張するんだがね。それは多分否定派の言うのが正しいんじゃないかと思いますね。他にも異常に長かった封鎖期間も疑惑の目が向けられている。近年に起こった 離島の火山ガス災害の例を見てもわかるように、4、5年で立ち入り禁止を解いている。南沢のケースは例外中の例外のケースのはずなのに、封鎖は極めて長期に及んだ。
あのケースは島民が帰島を強く希望したからと聞いています。南沢には帰る人がそもそもいないんだから、十分安全が確認できるまでたっぷり期間を置いただけなのだ。
I don't love that explanation, military bro.
あとこんな話もあるぞ。南沢を封鎖していた自衛隊員たちは定期的に血を抜かれての厳密な検査を受けていたといい、何らかの結果によって自他ともに理解できない理由で任務を解かれることがあったという。
That's interesting.
それは実は細菌感染の陽性反応を見るもので、自衛隊員たちをとどまらせることによる何らかの人体実験だったとささやかれているらしい。
God, man, it's a long hint and I'm enjoying it, but I hate the voice timing stuff anyways. But I mean, that could be true. Couldn't they also just be testing if they have positive signs of like poison or whatever? I don't know.
それはやはりガスが湧き出す危険性があっただけに、健康管理には気を使ったということでしょう。それに普通のサラリーマンだって年に一度は健康診断を受け、その時に血を抜かれてるはずです。
Okay, first part I agree with the military, bro. That sounds reasonable. Second part, you don't need to do that comparison. It obviously doesn't apply for this situation.
まあ君の言うことももっともだと思う。あともっと面白い話もあるぞ。
Let's hear it.
南沢大災害時に火山ガスは発生していないと主張する連中がいる。
火山ガスは発生していない？どういう意味ですか？
つまりもともと火山ガスなんか噴出してなくて、ガス災害というのが政府の嘘であると主張しているらしい。ほら、洋画の人類と UFO がコンタクトする作品でも同じ設定だったじゃないか。
それこそミステリーマニアのこじつけだと思いますね。で、その連中は何を根拠に火山ガスが発生しなかったと言っているんです？
They all died from the
封
parasite.
鎖解除後、ミステリーマニアがドットを押し寄せて UFO 説を補強するためにいろいろ調べたらしい。で、連中の主張はこうだ。政府発表の火山ガス成分によるならば、硫化水素によって金属が腐食されたり、自然体系に大きなダメージが残るはずだ。にもかかわらず、南沢にはそういう痕跡が残っておらず、よって火山ガスが噴出したとは到底思えないとかなんとか言ってる。
Decent. Maybe, I don't know. You think they could have done some cleanup in 20 years, but it's a decent piece of evidence.
もっともあれから20年も放置された村なんだ。そんな痕跡を発見できたかどうかは疑わしいな。
My point exactly.
やはりつくづくインターネットというのは信用できませんね。で、まさか赤坂先輩はその怪しげな話を信じてるわけですか？
Take the Takano pill. Everything's more fun on it.
最初は信じなかったが、最近は俺もわからない。何割かは真実が含まれているかもしれないと思うようになっている。
赤坂先輩ともあろうお方が UFO 話を信じるんですか？
このスクラップ帳、これが本物の34号文書だとしたら、昭和58年6月25日に南沢営林署に人質を取って籠城した竜宮レイナが所持していた正真正銘本物の34号文書だ。南沢大災害の混乱で長いこと行方不明だったが、近年大石さんの古い友人が県警の保存庫で発見したらしい。
Okay. Back then, Oishi thought Reina Ryuju was delusional, but after reading this, then After the Great Hinamizawa disaster, some of the contents seem to hold vital clues. It's not the alien part that he was interested in, but her theory that an endemic disease of parasitic microbes in Hinamizawa was responsible for the curse of Oyashiro-sama. I said something in the journal might actually be true. It's just she's focusing on the wrong stuff. Of course, there's no proof that such microbes existed, so it still remains at a theoretical level.
大石さんの仮説なんだが、御三家が過去の信仰心を村に取り戻すために、大昔の毒性の強い病原体を研究していたのは本当じゃないかって言うんだ。南沢大災害は、
Let me
実はその
click.
結果の失敗じゃないかってな。
Again, it's not the three families. I think that's really clear. Obviously, these guys don't know it, but we're good on that, I think. This theory is also based on theories and myths he found on the internet. The village clinic's chief doctor died mysteriously right before the Great Hinamizawa disaster. Yeah, he suicided with sleeping pills. So he did that in Tsumihoroboshi too, so it wasn't a direct action. I thought like one of the possibilities is he felt guilty about the Keiichi situation, but obviously it was a happy ending, so that can't be it, the answer. Interesting. That's another important tip from this. It's a great hint thing, but again, I'll keep saying it. I know it's annoying, but I hate this. I hate these long sentences. I don't know why it's divided so poorly. A girl, Rita Frude, was brutally murdered on the night Reina Ryudu took the school hostage. Really? That has to be a really short time frame because she survived. So it was after the hostage attempt? Jesus. So it can't be any of the club members, which we already thought. I mean, it can be literally, I mean, it's still the same suspects. I always thought Takano was the one who killed Rita, though, in Higurashi. Oh, man. There could have been an underground research lab beneath the village clinic, and Dr. Ire could have been forced to do microbiological research, but he couldn't live with his own sins and committed suicide. I hate this. I hate this sentence. It's, again, we explained it in the main playthrough, but it's just not good. It's not good when Rena did it. It's like there could have been an underground research lab that Dr. could have been forced to do it, and that's why he could have. That could have been the reason why he could have committed suicide. It's literally nothing. It's a sentence of nothing. But it's like, it's also used. You see that a lot in normal arguments too. It's good to make assumptions, but that's such a nothing assumption. Rita Frude could have been brutally murdered in a sacrifice for some sort of ritual ceremony in the name of Oyashiro-sama's revival. Now this isn't as bad, because I can actually see that, and there's actually some proof because she was killed Watanagashi style. However, the experiment went wrong. Instead of the microbes being parasitic in the villagers, they became a killer virus. And they exterminated the entire village in one night.
ただのガス災害じゃないことは明白なんだ。ガスが湧く直前に一人の少女が最近テロを予告し、数人の村人が開始を遂げている。
Honestly, it sounds more suspicious of Takano, because I think she didn't die. So it kind of sounds like she might be the... It's honestly fuel for the Takano is the mastermind theory, right? Because I know some peeps watching also agree with me that she didn't die, right? I mean, obviously, like, agree with me where thought she didn't die when you're where I'm at in the story, I guess. So, I mean, if she actually dated the disaster, which I don't think Hakusaka actually stated, then that's actually like kind of pointing that Takano might have planned it or something. And I don't know. It's good stuff. It's hard. I feel like I'm leaning more towards Tatno, just because Oishi was like low-key kind of soft cleared a lot in this arc. But the thing about Oishi is, for the Satoshi, for the fourth year, it feels so much more Oishi oriented than Tatano, just because mainly because we didn't see any Tatano interaction with Satoshi, while Oishi had a lot more with Satoshi. And then in the fifth year, it feels more Tatano oriented than Oishi oriented to me right now. But it's a lot closer between the two than it is in the fourth year, which means I guess I still think Oishi is more likely to be the mastermind. But he was definitely a lot more soft cleared in this arc, and obviously for the past ones, I just don't know because there's not enough information.
それをスクラップ帳にまとめた高野美代本人も含めてね。
Click.
あれを偶然の予見不可能な災害だとするにはどうも腑に落ちない要素が少なくない。
So what is this?
この34号文章を読めばそれらは明らかにはっきりしてくる。
It caught me there. Why do the fonts keep changing? Why does this hint feel so stuffed? It actually feels so stuffed. I don't know.
じゃあ
I don't like it.
南沢大災害は自然災害ではなく最近テロ。
I like the content of it, but I don't like how it's designed. It's weird. In the modern era, everyone in Japan knows about the shocking incident where a doomsday cult created a nerve gas, sarin and unleashed it for the purposes of mass murder. I actually don't know that. But in the 80s, the idea of a single cult being able to carry out such an act of terrorism didn't even cross our minds.
その後の自衛隊の長い封鎖はその殺人ウイルスを調査するためではないかと囁かれているんだがすっきりしないな。
UFO に乗った宇宙人がって話よりはカルト集団がって方が近年は信憑性がありますからね。
I agree. I feel like if you do go with the aliens thing, it's just a misinterpretation. And it's really a reality traveling beings, aka Rita, and that's technically the voice. I don't know if it actually travels reality with her, but they seem to know. She seems to be self-aware. And by she, I mean Chia, because, you know, they're the same person, because they both make the oh sound. It's confirmed, guys. You can't hide it from me. But yeah. I mean, technically, those are pretty much aliens anyways, so.
本当に UFO が墜落した可能性もあるかもしれないな。竜宮レイナが人質籠城時に出した要求の筆頭は鬼ヶ淵沼の底には墜落した UFO の残骸があるから引き上げろというものだったらしい。
I don't remember that, but I can see that. She did think that and stated that
バカバカしい。
in other occasions.
それがバカバカしいか調べたくても
This font, dude. What is this hint?
沼はコンクリートで
It's
数
ruining
メ
my
ートルの厚さで
experience.
固められ確かめる術もない。
Font size, I guess.
地質学的にはガスを防ぐ効果は何も期待できないはずの。
赤坂先輩がそれを立証するにはあとはここの住民の生き残りを見つけて体内からその特殊な病原体ってやつを見つけ出すほかないん。
それも致命的だ。
Sorry.
ひなみ沢大災害後のひなみ沢出身者に対する魔女狩りのせいで今や出
Jesus.
身者の存在は不明だ。
Why?
彼らは名乗りなどあげまい。
Wonder who survived. One of the named characters. That'd be cool. Right after the disaster, some people who were from Hinamizawa started displaying erratic behavior. When they started dying mysteriously and committing suicide in strange ways, people got scared of them and chased them out of their neighborhoods. The government was practically useless in protecting their privacy at the time, so the former residents of Hinamizawa lied about where they were from and have kept it that way since. We're definitely gonna find a named character. I feel like in Akasaka Adventures, maybe not this hint, but they might continue it. Future arcs,
それでも
maybe.
諦めないのが刑事魂ってもんだよ。あれが自然災害じゃなかったっていう状況証拠は いくらでもあるんだ。何か一つの具体的証拠が見つかれば、
God damn it, it got me
全
again.
てを白日のもとにさらせるかもしれない。
まあ、あれから20年経過してますからね。真相はあまりに遠い闇の中かもしれません。
そうだな。21世紀の今頃になってここを訪れ
I
た。
skipped. I'm not even mad
何
about
も分
that.
かりはしないのかもな。
What happened in Himizawa in June 1983? The only factual evidence that I had was that Mio Tatano mysteriously died and left a scrapbook predicting a bioterrorist attack. A young girl took the scroll hostage to make people listen to this prediction, but no one took it seriously. The chief doctor of the village clinic committed suicide. People believe that was a little girl. Rika Furude was a reincarnation of Oyasho-sama, and she was brutally murdered. What was the truth behind this scrapbook? Was it written to reveal a huge conspiracy? Or was it just a bunch of delusions written by an occult maniac? If the contents of the scrapbook were true, the disaster could have been avoided if he heeded the warnings of one girl. If they weren't true, then who created the disaster to follow the scenario of the scrapbook? That's a great question. Points to a Tatano. Kind of. After the sarin nerve gas incident, the word mind control came into spotlight. In contrast to brainwashing, which can easily force a person to commit a certain acts in the short term, mind control takes a long time to gradually make a person believe that what he or she must do is the right thing to do, and to act upon it as if it were his or her own idea. It's a form of character alteration which is far more serious than brainwashing. The cult behind the sarin gas incident induced fear and anxiety into its members through its revelations of doomsday. At the same time, they ordered them to do certain things as means of salvation, and had them do it so voluntarily. The formula was quite similar to how Renna Ryudu became a puppet of file number 34. So does that mean Renna Ryudu was mind-controlled by someone? Does that mean that the cult that mind-controlled her tried to cause the end of the world in order to increase the credibility of their teachings, just like the other cult did? That's also making the assumption that she was mind-controlled at an early age. Which made sense, kind of, but it's a big plan pre-curse murders, so it's pretty hard to believe. But that made file number 34 some sort of religious textbook for them. When I lose my grip on what's true and what's not, it sometimes makes me feel that someone might be laughing in amusement at this disaster. This scrapbook was like a script. It was a script for a tragedy that takes the lives of thousands of villagers in one night. It was a script for demons who laugh at the loss of human life. Someone wrote the script, someone performed it, someone watched the show and laughed. Damn it. What the hell happened in Hinamizawa? Yeah. I'm sorry, I love the new tech. I love meeting Akasaka again. That hint was giving me a headache with the dumbass fonts and the voice timing. I enjoyed that hint a lot less than I should have. God damn it. But it's an interesting question. If it did follow Takano's script. Just because she wrote it doesn't mean she's the one who did it. But like I said before, just my gut and from what I've seen, it feels like Takano's more likely to be behind the 5th year, but I really do feel like Oishi was behind the 4th year. And it still could be Oishi for the 4th year. But just because of this arc itself definitely tipped it more to Takano. And you're like, Aiden, what about Irie? Irie has always just been trailing behind by a while. He never had as hard evidence as we did in for other characters. For Irie. For Oishi and Takano. Just a lot of more little suspicious stuff. But yeah, I'm not even gonna read the hint or the message thing. Oh man, I did not enjoy that. Gross. I don't know what happened to that. I'm gonna We're gonna dip though, so we still have the 2 bad endings and the message. That's a long ass tip. Didn't expect that, but that's good. Again, new tech though. Confirmed gas disaster, which is good. I mean, if it happened for Tsumihoroboshi and for Higurashi, I think it's fair to assume that's just what it is for every arc. Got some insight onto the future, how Takano's scrapbooks are gaining popularity. I mean, that could have been a motivation for like Takano. It technically, but it's not even like, I don't know. I need to think about it. My head's kind of like not in the right place because I'm like low-key cheesed. I'm low-key cheesed and I'm physically tired. It's not a great combination. I don't want you to think I hated that. I liked the tech. I liked Akasaka. I'm just a little bit annoyed. I'm just being a bit dramatic. But yeah, we're going to end it here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Next time we'll get into some hopefully less stuffed stuff. I'm sure the bad endings aren't going to be as stuffed. But yeah. And have a great day. And see you guys next week. Should be our final week, I think. Probably. Obviously, the theory video might come in a week or two after that. But yeah. Should be good. Thanks for watching. Bye.